wax painting. The natural is called Encaustic from museum goers. And Encaustic is a very old medium. The ancient Egyptians used it to paint mummy masks. The ancient Greeks used it to paint on their ships, their warships, to keep the wood, safe and secure, but also beautiful. So many artists who do encaustic nowadays usually do a small piece. I like big stuff. So and I also like circles. I also like the organic. So my abstraction, in school I did a lot of figurative and representational. But when I learned about abstract artists, I'm like, oh my God, you can do that? And I asked my student, can I do that? He said, go at it. And that was it. I just went crazy. All the things I learned about design and shape and shadow and all that stuff, I still was able to get it in here. But for me, I was really a watercolorist. So no matter what medium I use, if you go outside in the front, when you first come in, there's like an ochre-like painting with 6 bands across it. That's my work. And that is also the same kind of flow that I can get out of watercolor, that I can get out of the encaustic. So I like to pour on my grounds. I like to brush as well. And you can see where the brush strokes are, where the pores are. And with encaustic, because I'm very tactile, I like to touch it. So when I touch it, it shines more. That makes me happy. But so I asked you can touch, but don't scratch.
Yeah.
When these are first completed, you can smell the aroma of the beeswax, because it's natural beeswax. And so imagine, raw pigment, right? Pottery. Sometimes it comes liquid or like a paste. So you have the melted beeswax, and then it's clear, and you mix it in, and now you have the color. So I have many containers, like little tin cups, on the hot plate with all the colors, and every color has its own brush. And brushes love encaustic, especially the natural ones. The others weren't frayed. And then you have a heat gun, and so each layers of these that you see have to be melted in again. It's like taking one of the color, brushing it on. Okay, now you have to heat it again so it melts and joins with whatever's under it. So when you look at these, you can then appreciate each color, what they do. You have to melt it in. And it's sort of, for me, it's like riding a bronco and trying to ride that baby and not get thrown. Because there's a point where you can be spontaneous, but if you don't have some kind of a plan, it's not going to come out so good. So I'm very spiritual, as many of the artists who focus on abstract. You see, because abstract paintings, you have to paint what's inside more than what you see with your eyes. When you have a still life, you have the apple, the thing, you could paint it there. You could put your own spin on it, but it's still an apple in a cup. But with this, you have to find those images that are inside, and then you have to capture it somehow and convey it. So for me, that's much more challenging. It's much more exciting than the figurative. I don't mind, but I love this because you'll see me. You see more of me in here than you would if I were to paint someone's portrait or a tree. If I see the tree, I'll paint what I feel about the tree, what I feel about the earth, the wind, the fire, growth. This is called the birth of spring. So I'm imagining, as she mentioned, seeds grow in the dark. Well, okay. As it's growing, as a flower is going to, it's like, okay, I'm a flower, I'm thinking about being a flower. What's going on? So for me, that's the birth of spring, when it's not yet out. I had 4 of these. One is in here, the other one, the big one where the flower grew, that one was sold out. But the colors are brilliant. These encaustic are sometimes more archival than the oil paint. You go to the museum, you see Encaustic, you see the mummy mask, you say, wow, brilliance, brilliant colors. So I'm from the West Indies, I love heat, so Encaustic and we get along because there's a lot of heat in there. So you have to have this cooking and that cooking, so I enjoy that. That's the spiritual side. The mental side is very long. My background is Zen. I spent years as a Zen student, sitting, meditating. So the Taoism, the Buddhism, every ism, Sufism. If it has to do with spirituality, I want to read about it. So I will take things like the I Ching. Now, please, can I take you to this painting on the other end? Okay. Also, it's encaustic, and it is 6 panels. The I Ching is ancient Chinese divination system where you throw coins, you ask a question to the oracle. My question was, what is the virtue of relationship? I had been divorced twice, and I know the word virtue means permanent. So I was going to trick the I Ching. Okay, what's the virtue of relationship? If relationship don't stay, right? What's the virtue in it? And I threw the coin 6 times, hence 6 panels. And I have another artwork in the front, that same 6. There's 1 panel, but 6 lines. So there's an 8 series in the Yang series. So when you throw the coins, you ask the question, and the way the heads or tails and heads, right? It'll give you a straight line or a broken line. This time it came 6 straight lines, and that's very rare. So the answer to my question, what was the virtue of relationship, is yang. You've heard of yin yang, right? Yang is number 1. Yang is number 1, and that means the sun shining and reflecting and seeing itself. When I got that answer, I almost cried because it's so true. If I don't have a relationship, I won't find out the deepest part of myself because I won't have anybody to show. You know, when you're with yourself, you can fool yourself. But when you're in relationship, you find out so much about yourself. So no matter who you're with, the virtue that stays always is you. Number 1, the sun. And you're always shining out yourself. So these ideas are what drives my work. So each line is a painting in itself. Because earth, wind, fire, these are all elements of the I Ching. And it's fine with me because I love nature. So beeswax. So that's about it. I keep going. I only have